Good afternoon, everyone. So, our lesson for today is about the phases of exercise. At the end of this lesson, you are supposed to, number one, determine the different phases of exercise and its specific functions in training. Number two, know the importance of performing warm-up and cool-down exercises and its effects in injury prevention. And number three, realize the importance of a warm-up, cool-down, and the different forms of stretching exercises when it comes to engaging in a correct exercise program. The contents are the development phases of exercise from traditional to evolving, and now we have the modern exercise phase. And there are 5 phases under the modern. The phase number 1, warm up. Second, or phase number 2, dynamic stretches. Number 3, conditioning. Number 4, cool down. And the last step or the last phase is the static stretch. Last meeting we define what is exercise. So sabi natin, it is a type of physical activity that is planned, structured, and required repetitive bodily movement. While when we say phases of exercise, it is a step-by-step process followed in an exercise routine that helps individual reap the maximum benefits of exercise. So here, there are 5. Sabi natin, there are 5 steps or 5 phases to modern phase of exercise. The warm-up, dynamic stretches, main set, cool down, and static stretches. When I say main set, it is your main activity or the main exercise that you are going to perform. Let's say, for example, you are about to do aerobic activity such as biking. So that is your main set. Or let's say jogging. That is your main set or your conditioning phase. Ayan. Okay, let's go first with the development or the phases of exercise development. We have the traditional, evolving, and modern. Traditional exercise phase during the development of exercise and training regimens. Exercising only involved 3 basic steps or phases, from warm up, then second conditioning, and cool down. So here, the main set is called conditioning. So pareho lang yun pag sinabing main set or conditioning phase, that is your main activity or yung exercise na talagang ipe-perform mo on that day. Then second, we have evolving exercise phases evolving exercise phases. Flexibility exercises such as stretching now became an integral part of stretching or of training and is often done by many at the end of a workout routine. Research suggests that stretching not only removes the body's soreness, but it also aids in improving the mobility of several joints. So from 3 steps, nadagdagan ng isa. Warm up, conditioning or your main activity, cool down, and stretching. Then the current or the modern exercise phase, we call it as modern exercise phases. So dynamic and static stretches were also deemed as important components of the phases of exercise and were eventually incorporated into professional training regimens as well as in general populations training. So the traditional ay merong 3 steps, ang evolving ay 4, itong modern ay merong 5 stages or the 5 steps. Warm up, dynamic stretch, conditioning, cool down, and static stretch. So it helps you or this is the steps for you to do proper workout routine. Okay, we're going to elaborate each phase. The first one is warm up. Sige nga, why do you think warm up exercise is important? Sabi natin kanina, paulit-ulit na natin to pinabanggit. But can you share your thoughts? Why warm up is important? Bakit hindi dapat diretso tayo dun sa main activity? Ayan, according to Hazel Rose, para hindi po mabigla ang ating katawan. Yes, thank you so much. So, di ba, doing warm-up activities help your body to increase the temperature. Or, of course, it serves as your, let's say, your body and mind become prepare and the next activity ahead. So, para hindi mabigla ang ating katawan. Because kung sakaling mabigla, we can acquire some exercise discomforts and injuries. So, it is very important. Let us first define what is exercise, or let's say warm-up exercise. According to American Council on Exercise, a warm-up by definition is a period of lighter exercise preceding the conditioning phase of an exercise bout and should last for 5 to 10 minutes for most healthy adults. So again, when we say conditioning phase, this is your main activity. And it is said that you should perform lighter exercise, lighter than your main activity. That is related to your main activity or your main exercise. Let's say, for example, you're going to do running for 20 to 30 minutes. So the best exercise for that or warm-up exercise is jogging or walking because same body part ang gagamitin natin. Diba? Parang lighter activity, yun na yung time kung kailan mawa-warm. Or nabibigyan natin ng cue ang ating body part na you're going to do more. Or you have heavier activity to perform. Okay, we have here the warm-up activities, the intensity and duration. There are 3 examples of compound exercises here. Okay, so the jumping jacks, jogging in place, and squats. When we say compound exercises, meaning they use a lot of muscle groups in just little effort, or let's say minimum repetition lang. Pero maraming body parts or maraming muscles yung involved. Example ay jumping jacks. It is a type of calisthenic movement that targets all the muscles of your upper body, core, and lower body all at the same time while providing you with a jump power. So overall body na, no? The upper body, lower, and the core. And specifically, your leg, diba? Leg power is also developed in this kind of activity. Second, we have jogging in place, or let's say kahit yung jogging na umaalis tayo sa pwesto. This warm-up actually works best for both cardiorespiratory and weight training activities. And it also stimulates the increase of your heart rate and the smooth movement of your lower limbs. Same with the previous one, ayan, maraming target rin na muscle, the major and minor muscle groups within your body, particularly the muscle of your legs and your abdominals. Next is squats. So this type of warm-up routine is ideal done before you perform weight training activities. Bakit? Kasi as you can see, you will be having the same position ng katawan, di ba? In doing the weightlifting or weight training activity. Sabi natin kanina, dapat yung warm-up natin ay related sa main activity. So ayan, napapractice na yung movement na gagawin mo for your main exercise. Proper execution. Your knees are not going beyond the lines of your toes and your feet should still remain in its original position. Throughout the whole movements, your abdominals should be well contracted or engaged. And you should remember that when doing squats, there are only 2 movements involved, the downward and upward movements. So downward yung letter B and upward A. Every time na nandun ka sa position B or downward position, it's time for you to inhale with your nose, then pag A or nakatayo ka na, exhale with your mouth. Again, inhale with your nose pag nakababa, pag nakataas, exhale with your mouth. So that is the proper way of breathing while you are doing the squat. Okay, so here are the big muscles that are being involved when you do squat. At my question dito, why do you think you need to stimulate the big muscle groups of your body during your warm-up exercise? So maybe, yung iba sa inyo sasabihin na, syempre, yan yung mga muscles na ginagamit natin in doing the activity. And that's right, pero there are more explanation. Ayan, these big muscles roles are to help you gain balance and keep you up to speed with the activity that you are about to do. Or let's say na, these big muscles are very crucial in allowing you to move and also to transfer yourself from one point to another, kahit sa workout man yan or sa daily activities natin, regular activities. Then second, when stimulated at an early stage, these big muscle groups can help you become more agile and it can help you perform better in your workout routine. Or let's say, kaya nga wino-warm mo because those are the main muscles that you're going to use for your workout routine or to your main exercise. Then when you have activated these large muscle groups, the heart is forced to pump more forcefully and at a faster rate to inhibit blood flow. Remember when we talk about the cardiorespiratory and exercise, doing physical activity can really help your heart to be strong. Kasi sabi natin, ang heart natin ay muscle. To be specific, it is a cardiac muscle na kailangan rin ng exercise para mas maging matibay or mag-develop, mag-improve ang ating heart. Now, look at this picture or this one. So as you can see, if the conditioning phase or the main exercise that you will do is intense, or let's say heavy, mahirap gawin, you should begin with a moderate to high intensity warm-up. While if the conditioning phase that you will do is light or moderate, sabihin natin medyo magaan lang, then you should begin with a light to moderate intensity warm-up routine. Diba? Pwede rin natin sabihin na the harder or the easier the conditioning phase or the main activity is, the more extensive or the less extensive the warm-up exercise should be. So, nakadepende sa bigat ng activity ang magiging bigat ng warm-up mo. So, we have here powerlifting, 10-kilometer run, and 1-mile swim. So this kind of activities really requires you to give your full effort. While this one, ayan, mga basic activities lang. 20-minute jog, shooting basketballs, 30-minute stationary bike, kaya low to moderate intensity of warm-up lang ang dapat nating i-perform. So here, warm-up should not make you feel fatigue. Not over fatigue kasi pag fatigue, that means overtired. So fatigue lang. So warm up ay ginagawa para makondisyon ang ating katawan sa main exercise natin. Kaya dapat sa warm up ay hindi agad tayo mapagod. Kaya nga 5 to 10 minutes lang siya ginagawa para lang bumuelo yung ating muscles, yung ating body sa next activity natin. Ayan, we have here example of warm-up activity. The exercise activity here is jogging, running for 20 to 30 minutes. That is the example. This is your main exercise or your conditioning phase. So what you're going to do is to follow this warm-up activity. Jumping jacks for 30 seconds, squats for 30 seconds, lunges alternating, meaning right, left for 30 seconds. Butt kicks for 30 seconds. High knees, 30 seconds. Lateral leg swings, 15 seconds on your right and 15 seconds on your left para 30 seconds rin. Then forward and backward leg swings, 15 seconds per side. Arm swings, 15 seconds per, or let's say counter, or let's say 15 minutes clockwise and 15 seconds, 15 seconds counterclockwise, not 15 minutes. So 15 seconds. Then the last one is breeze walk for 5 minutes. So makikita nyo parang half of the time ay, or more than half of the time, ay breeze walk ang gagawin. Bakit kaya? Dahil ito yung main, or let's say, ito yung activity na talagang related sa main exercise mo, which is jogging or running. Diba? Same body part ang kanilang gagamitin. Kaya mas magpo-focus ka sa activity na to. So it depends on what exercise you're going to do. Ito ay example lang for jogging or running for 20 to 30 minutes. Second phase, we have dynamic stretches. When to stretch? According to the phases, there are you should stretch your body for 2 times. Phase number 2 and phase number 5. Light to moderate activities, dynamic stretch plus static stretch. While high intensity and power activities, no to static stretch. Dynamic stretchings lang ang gagawin mo before you proceed to main activity. So what is the difference between the static and dynamic? When you say static, you are in a certain point or you are in a fixed point, hindi ka na gumagalaw. While when I say dynamic, you are in motion. You are moving while you are stretching. Example tayo nito. So this one is what we call front lunge. So right niya, no? Right front lunge. So if you do this for 30 seconds, walang galawan ng 30 seconds, that is static stretch. But if you do this alternately, example, right, left, ayan, so papalit-palit, that is what we call dynamic stretches kasi gumagalaw ka or nagpapalit ka ng movement or position. Another example, try to hold your waist, then circulate your shoulder forward for 30 seconds. So sa 30 seconds na yon ay may movement na nangyayari. So that is dynamic stretches. Also, pag backward, that is dynamic stretches. While magiging static siya if I'll ask you to elevate your shoulder for 30 seconds. Di ba? Walang ibang movement, naka-elevate lang siya or nakataas. So that is static. And siguro na-observe nyo na some static stretches can be done as dynamic stretches. So same rin. May mga dynamic stretches na pwede tayong gawin as static stretches. Letter C is warm up and principle of specificity. If you attend the class last week, we talked about the principles of exercise, and this one is included. So, principle of specificity, sabi natin common sense na lang. If you want to develop your cardiovascular, then do cardio training. If you want to develop your muscular endurance, muscular strength, then perform resistance exercise. If you want to develop your flexibility, then do flexibility activities. Kumbaga, you should be specific of the activity that depends on your fitness goal. And so the next phase is what we call conditioning, or sabi natin yung main exercise, yung main activity mo. This is the part of the training program that addresses in developing your fitness or your specific fitness goal or your general agenda for exercising. And you should follow the FIT principle. As I recall lang kasi nga ito na yung lesson last week. F for frequency, I for intensity, T is for time and another T is for type of activity. So frequency, how often you're going to do the activity for the whole week. Intensity, how hard or how much effort do I need to exert. Time, ilang oras sa loob ng isang araw mo gagawin ang exercise. And type, same with the principle of specificity that you should align your activity to your fitness goal. Okay, we have here the steady state training and high intensity interval training. When you say steady state training, ayan, from the start of the activity, ang binibigay mo ay average effort lang hanggang matapos. Kung ano yung effort mo ng una, yun na hanggang matapos. Consistent speed, intensity, and work rate. And you can do this activity for long duration. You can take your time while doing this kind of activity. Ang disadvantage ay time consuming kasi nga hindi naman natin minamadali ang ganitong workout. Example of these are the aerobic activities, biking, running, or jogging. Ayan. While high-intensity interval training, alternating high and low-intensity exercise. For example, the high intensity is sprint. Sprint is the fastest way of running. Kindly turn off your camera. Thank you. So sprint is the fastest way of running, while jogging will serve as your rest. So 1 minute, mag-sprint ka. After that, 3 minutes jogging para maka-recover, makahinga ng maayos at makabuelo. Dahil after 3 minutes, mag-sprint ka ulit. Then 3 minutes recovery, 1 minute sprint, and so on. So this is high intensity training and it requires you to give effort or to move explosively. Kaya nga ito ay short duration lang dahil nakakapagod kaagad gawin. And disadvantage, ayan, high risk for muscle pains. Especially if you are new to this kind of activity. So let's say if you are a newbie, you want to start your exercise, try to do first the SST before proceeding to the high intensity training or high intensity interval trainings. Then we have here the circuit training. Circuit training is mostly effective for individuals who are bored with their regular gym routine or for people who are in hurry most days but want to improve their overall fitness. In a circuit training activity, you need to set up at least 4 to 10 different stations for exercise. Here we have 6 dito sa example. The squats, push-ups, jumping jacks, lunges, plank, and side lift. And as you can observe, ito yung mga activities na hindi mo kailangan ng equipments, kundi sarili mo lang. Or let's say na, it really helps for you to make your exercise routine possible kasi wala ka nang hahanapin ng mga equipment. Okay, so changing the time or duration of exercise stations. Here, the example is by time. So 60 seconds, 60, 30, 45, 30, 30, yan mga seconds. So as a beginner, pwedeng you can lower the time from, let's say, 60, pwede mong gawing 40 seconds muna, ganyan. Then after 2 weeks, sabi natin, nag-a-adapt yung katawan natin sa activity ginagawa. So that is the time for you to extend or to increase the intensity. Dagdag ka ng time. From 40, pwede mo nang gawin 50, yan, or 60, and so on. Pero kung ayaw mo na time yung susundin, pwedeng repetition ang sundin mo. Let's say, 20 repetitions, 20, 15, and so on. It's up to you kung saan or kung ano yung mas okay sa'yo. Then reversing the order of your exercise. So this helps for you to avoid boredom. Then incorporate or adding more complicated exercises. But not for the beginners. Siguro kung nasa buwan na kayong gumagawa ng this kind of activity, you can challenge yourself by adding or let's say formulating new challenging activity. Then second to the last, we have the cool down activity. So your body also needs enough time to slow down and return to its homeostasis or into the internal state of balance. So cool down exercises should ideally last between 5 to 10 minutes. Same with the warm up. But the duration of cool down can also change depending on the type of activity that you did in your conditioning phase. Let's say, for example, you perform heavy activity and after 10 minutes, parang hindi ka pa nakaka-recover. Then you can extend time until you feel recovered or nararamdaman yung nakakapahinga na ang katawan or yung body parts na ginamit nyo on your conditioning phase. Other significance of cool down and to slow down activity, prevent blood pooling in the extremities, return heart rate and breathing to normal, prevents injuries, and remove metabolic waste from muscles. So we said that acquiring body pain is natural response of our body in adapting the exercise. But if you perform cool down activity, so you will feel less pain in your body, and also it helps you to have short duration of repairing and healing your muscles. And examples of cool down exercises. The best cool down exercise are those activities that do not require you to exert too much effort. Because sabi natin, it will serve as your recovery. So hindi pwedeng nakakapagod rin ang cool down exercise nyo. Example, walking very slowly. So kailan to gagawin? Example, if you do jogging or running as your main activity, then walk very slowly, doing an easy swim and some yoga poses. Same lang siya ng warm up, wherein yung mga body parts na ginamit mo, yun yung mga body part na kailangan ma-cool down. Ayan. Then the last phase, we have the static stretches. Static stretching is an exercise that is low and is always fixed at a low intensity. So when to stretch, nasagot na natin kanina from the start and up to the end of your exercise. So tips, don't stretch cold muscles, stretch warm muscles, incorporate in any exercise routine. Kaya nga after ng warm up siya ginagawa at after ng cool down exercise. The golden rule here is you should perform dynamic stretches at the beginning. Then before you end, you should perform static stretches. Again, static stretches means that you are stretching in a certain point. Example, ito, yan, nakaganyan lang yung position mo in 30 seconds. Or pwede rin naka-wide leg ka, then abutin mo yung right foot for 30 seconds. After that, on your left for 30 seconds. Ayan yung mga example ng ating static stretches. Static stretches by definition are a type of stretch that you perform in a fixed point or in a certain place. No excessive movements. Static stretch rules: breathe properly, start with large muscles to small muscle groups, same with warm up. Don't forget to stretch your neck because it is directly related to your other body parts, especially when we are talking about the weight. So here are some examples of static stretches. The wide forward fold, this one. Side lunge pose. Pwede rin front lunge. Pinakita natin kanina yung front lunge, di ba? Butterfly stretch. Half kneeling quad stretch or hip flexor stretch. Single leg forward bend. Deep seated squat. So yung squat natin normally ay knee level. So this one is deep. Then standing calf stretch and calf stretch on the wall. Again, you're going to do this for 30 seconds nang hindi kayo gumagalaw or hindi kayo nagpapalit ng position. Kaya siya tinawag na static stretches. Ayan. Okay, so to recall, there are 5 phases of exercise. Warm-up should be related to your main activity. Dynamic is stretching while you are in motion. Conditioning is your main activity. Cool down or you are performing lighter activity than your main exercise or time to recover na. Static stretch is stretching in a certain point. Ayan, so yun lang naman. So thank you so much, but I would like to remind everyone to not to skip any part of this exercise because as what we said, it helps you to prevent having body discomforts and injuries. So this will really work for you to improve and to develop your skills and the condition of your, or let's say the level of your fitness. So that's all. Thank you.